Hey guys, Cyber Dragon here, bringing you guys part 3 of What If Deku was Deoxys. So firstly, I will be doing a new series here soon enough, but I'm just debating on the two. If I wanted to save one for Halloween and do the other now, or do the one I'm saving for Halloween and just do that other one some other time. Sorry, some dogs outside, if you heard that, but anyways, yeah. I'm not gonna say the series because I'm gonna maybe do it tonight and or tomorrow if I have time. So, yeah. And, but anyways, yeah, we are here for What If Deku was Deoxys. So, let's begin. Last time we left off, the teachers of UA, or at least Nezu, Aizawa, and All Might, were talking about where Deku's quirk actually comes from, if they're from All For One or not. Which, pretty soon here, their suspicions for that will be cancelled out. It is now the day of the USJ, actually. I'm not gonna do I'm gonna say like the same stuff in canon happened in canon for the class rep, so Ida still being the class rep, because Deku wasn't confident in that part of his ability. So, yeah, so they're all loading up on the bus. Mina is sitting next to Deku. Well, actually, I guess he would be sitting next to Bakugo still, so. But, yeah, no, he's sitting next to Bakugo, sorry. Everyone's talking about their quirks. Everyone starts to wonder, like, why do you transform like that, Midoriya? Like, your quirk is listed as psychic, yet you transform. Aizawa actually paying close attention to this one. He's actually curious himself and wondering if he could get information about it. I'm not really sure myself. Honestly, I could tell you why I got the psychic portion is from my mom for sure, but I never actually met my dad. Or I don't even know exactly from that. I'm gonna say Deku doesn't know he doesn't have a dad, and he's just he was from that meteorite. But he might learn sooner or later of that truth. Or not. He might start having questions of his own like that. But yeah. So he explains like what his mom's quirk is. It's just telekinesis, was it? Like, it's basically a telekinesis as it pulls stuff towards her, not throwing stuff. It's not a very powerful one. They're all kind of understanding, but still confused about the transformation portion. He does mention about the little crystal in his chest, kind of like you see in all the forms of them. They're also wondering about that too. He honestly doesn't know. So, he just thinks it's part of his quirk, but he never actually thought much about it. Aizawa even somewhat still suspicious, but him not knowing about his father and his mother's quirk is somewhat similar, but not like a quirk like this. Can't be formed from just a mere telekinesis quirk. But they don't really push him pride enough to figure it out, and Aizawa's not going to push him pride himself. He's just going to gather information secretly. So is some other teachers. They arrive at UA. They see 13. Okay, I thought I turned the timer off for this. Fucking, I'm not gonna stop the video for that, so. Yeah, so, Umaraka gets excited seeing 13. Deku, somewhat excited. he actually likes 13 too because, well, he can actually go to outer space. He never actually mentioned that to anyone, but yeah. Mina seeing both Deku and Umaraka have something in common they actually geeking out about. Mina is a little jealous and pouts a bit, like, I'm not, like, that's my man. He's not gonna try to take him away from me. Just being all jealous and shit. Like, she has started to form a little crush on Deku. Some of the girls tease her, like, oh, Mina, we can tell, are you getting jealous or something? Says grinning in the background. Because Mina has tried to do that with the other girls, and she's getting a taste of her own medicine in this case. She's trying to deny it, but her face says a different thing. Deku and Umaraka isn't really paying attention to that, though. So, 13 starts explaining how quirks can be dangerous, and the portal of the USJ opened in the center. So Deku immediately transformed, and I never actually explained fully what his costume is, did I? Just imagine his canon costume, but with where the green is red, and where the blue, the white is like blue. So basically, just imagine that. And some parts would be black, I guess, like maybe the soles of the shoes or the belt. Just let your imagination run wild and just imagine how you want to. I know I am, so. But yeah, no, Deku does transform his base attack form. Oh, base form. As I was saying the same stuff in canon as he said, get back, those are real villains. Deku actually flying over starts to attack himself. And we're telling him not to, but he's actually handling a lot of the villains, using his psychic powers to throw them around a bit. Even using the water, with psychic energy to form a giant water fist to let the other villains who's in the water zone out of the water zone and throw them on land, getting them out of their element. As I was seeing this, thinking, how powerful can this kid be? He can control water with his mere mind. It isn't a water quirk, but since it can be molded into anything with his psychic-based power, he can basically mold the liquid itself, not him actually controlling the water. If I would let him control water, like, completely, then it would be a bit overpowered. So it's not completely him bending the water, it's just him bending it with his mind, I guess. He could possibly do the same stuff with some other stuff, like maybe ice or whatnot, but he doesn't have power over those elements. Just basic shaping, like, not controlling other people's quirks. Just doing basic stuff with the elements around him. Such Shigaraki, seeing that this kid is taking most of their forces out and took all their force out of the water zone into the land, giving them a weak out of their element, Shigaraki simply said, "Nomu, kill that brat." Or that thing, or whatever. Kurogiri does get the others teleported away. Although, I'm gonna say, since ever Deku did get rid of most of the water villains, I'm thinking he might not send him the Sue and Mineta there. No, wait, I think I got rid of Mineta, actually. Yeah, no, I did. Sorry, just Sue. They send Sue somewhere else. So I'm gonna say the landslide zone with Todoroki, perhaps. Or just in the same water zone and not caring. I'm not sure. Or Sue actually just got out of the smoke, not being teleported like the rest of them. While Deku is fending off the rest of the villains, he's now noticing Nomu charging at him. he went to his defense form, erecting a barrier. The barrier did hold up for a bit, but the Nomu is constantly pounding on it, and Deku can only defend for so long. Such another good punch from the Nomu, and it broke. It did take him a while, though, so it's not like he can't hold up against All Might. It just will be a bit more slow going, I guess. Like, he can't keep it up forever. In its base form, he could take about 5 to 6 punches with the barrier, but in his defense form, I'm going to say he can take up to 15 to 20 punches from All Might. Now that might sound powerful, but I'm talking more or less at him at, I'm not sure actually, like 25%? I'm not really sure. I'm just gonna say the Nomu punched the dome like 10 times, actually, yeah. And it was starting to crack. Deku and then the 15th punch, it broke completely. I'm not sure how strong the Nomu is, like percentage-wise to All Might. Maybe at 100 of his weakened state, but that is as best I can think. Like, yeah. So now Deku having to defend, trying to outspeed the Nomu. He's not faster than the Nomu. He is still fast, but not as fast as the Nomu. He dodges some of the Nomu's attacks, but every now and again it does land. Every 4th or 5th swing of the fist, I guess. Which, yeah, he is suffering some damage. But part of his quirk does let him heal. It is not instantaneous, it does take a moment, but still. Deku trying to dodge as best as he can. So, with him actually attacking too. His speed form doesn't offer much in defense though, so... Oh, actually wait. I think I said speed form didn't have much in the attack, if I'm not wrong. Yeah, it didn't have much in attack, but he needed speed for this specifically. Because he couldn't be fast enough in his attack, in his other form, to dodge it as fast as he could. It is doing some damage to Nomu, but not long enough, because he still has regeneration too. Which, for a while, it seems like Deku is getting somewhat of an upper hand, dodging most of the attack, but Shigaraki comes from behind, putting all 5 fingers on Deku, starting to decay his shoulder. Deku did swat him away, but the Nomu punched him so hard that it sent him flying. Part of him is missing. His side is missing, and part of his left shoulder is already decaying. He can't do this for much longer. And everyone is seeing Deku struggling slightly. I will make Deku somewhat weak, but he won't be super weak. So Deku is trying to heal, but now he's starting to think to go on the offense. He's facing off against 2 villains. He's needing power now more than actual speed. Which Deku did transform. Part of his side is regrowing, but it is slow because he's trying to combat the decay too. He can't focus on 2 different areas. And if he does it throughout his entire body, it's slower, but it will surely heal sooner or later. It will still start to heal slowly. Deku's firing attack after attack at both of them. Shigaraki being guarded by the Nomu mostly. The Nomu's healing quirk is also slowly decreasing. His shock absorption is helping though. Shigaraki simply laughed and said, "Ha ha ha, you fool, he has shock absorption and healing. He was made to kill All Might." Deku's eyes widen, hearing that this thing was made to kill All Might. And I will say he did try to read his mind and see what he was thinking, what the Nomu was thinking, but he couldn't hear anything. Then he thought that's why I couldn't hear his thoughts. This thing doesn't have any thoughts in him. So he starts letting out more powerful attacks, knowing that Shigaraki will be guarded, so he doesn't have to hold back as much. Letting out attack after attack. The Nomu kept charging at him, but some of the attacks do push it back. Deku is still combating most of the decay, and the wound that the Nomu created was somewhat stopped. It's fully healed, and he can focus now on the decay aspect. It is almost completely gone until Kurogiri got down there. So, sending some of Deku's own attacks back at him by opening his warp gate in front of the attacks of what he was sending. From both sides, he got hit by some of his own attacks, causing one of the tendrils he has to get shot off, and another one of his attacks shooting him in the side of the leg. He yells in pain, and so now he's trying to heal faster. He goes back in his base form, still missing some chunks of himself, though. Now combating against 3 high-tier villains: Shigaraki, Kurogiri, and Nomu. Deku thought to himself, if I must fall, I would protect my fellow students. He already took out almost all of the low-tier villains around his area. A lot of them are being taken care of by Aizawa, but Aizawa is trying to get to Deku to help. But he's struggling against most of the others villains at the moment. The ones he did not take out before the Nomu attacked. So Deku is doing his best, hitting Shigaraki and sending him flying, knocking him out temporarily. He thought that 1 down, 2 more to go. Then, a fist went through his chest, holding the gem that's his center of his core. His eyes widen, everyone seeing he got impaled. Some of the damage was not healing at first, beforehand, but now it completely stopped. The Nomu just ripped him in 2 after that, his top half on the floor and his bottom half on the ground. Still holding the gem, the Nomu let it go. But at that time, All Might appeared. Seeing what just happened, angered that his student just died. Or what they thought he just died. I'll explain what I mean here soon. Deku's body starts to dissipate. As if he was being decayed, but not really. The gem was all that's left of Deku. Mina was crying from seeing this, thinking that he died, but trying to protect all of the students. All the students felt grief for All Might went all out on the Nomu. It was more easier because Deku has already dealt some pretty good blows against the Nomu. He was defending him off alright, but at the same time when Shigaraki entered the picture, and Kurogiri, it was slightly going downhill from there. So the event happened same in canon. So, All Might defeating the Nomu, and Shigaraki and Kurogiri escaped. But Shigaraki left with a grin, thinking that he killed that kid. He dealt a blow to UA, he thought. Everyone went down there as fast as they can, Mina especially, looking where Deku's body was at, and all that remained was the gem. Mina picked it up in tears in her eyes, crying to herself, thinking that Midoriya is dead. although the gem was reacting, still glowing. So, they don't know what this means, but perhaps he might still be alive in there. After a while, some of the students start to head out. The suspicion about Deku being All For One's creation was dropped after seeing Deku defending against the Nomu, which they found out was a creation of All For One and not Deku after all. They still were curious about his power, but still. All the students were being looked over, Mina still holding the gem in her hand. Then, moments later, it glowed a bright, shining, I guess, pinkish purple? Yeah, a pinkish purple, starting to form Deku back to reality. I'm basing that part off, like, the Steven Universe part, but just imagine, but I'm also basing it off the destiny of Deoxys, how Deoxys was obliterated by Rayquaza, and his gem just went down to the ocean floor, but reformed later. So you're seeing the organisms forming Deku body again. Just in midair. So it's falling from I want to say 6 inches off the ground, falling on his knees, breathing heavily, like, holy cow, I thought I was dead there for a moment. Everyone's eyes widen. Mina starts crying even harder, not of sadness, but of relief, running up, hugging Deku, crying harder, and said, I thought I lost you. Please don't do that again. Deku, not knowing what kind of happened, starts to recollect that he nearly did die. Now wondering what the hell, he should have been dead then. Hugging Mina, comforting her, and said, It's alright, I'm here. All Might seeing this, doing, so how the hell is he still alive? That is what everyone is thinking. He should have been dead. They saw him get impaled and split in half from that creature. But yeah, Deku said, alright, yeah, I need some rest. That took a lot of energy out of me. And it took long, I guess, to reform, out of me too. I've never done anything like that, so I need a rest. Mina nodding her head in agreement, tears still going down her face. Deku kind of went to sleep as Mina is still hugging him. So, no one's teasing Mina at the moment because, well, they did just saw Deku kind of die. He didn't full on die, but he did he was technically killed and just reforming back in the gym. The organisms can only take so much damage until then. Deku thought to himself like he needs to work on ways when he's facing multiple opponents and starts to decide to train at some point. But also having some question of his own. What is this power after realizing he could reform after being taken so much damage, almost a fatal blow like that? And that's what the other teachers are thinking too. How could he survive that after looking like he could have died? So, they take Deku to Recovery Girl's office to take a look at. Mina's there, still worried about him, but not crying. Everyone starts to calm down and kind of talk a bit. Talking about how did Deku survive that? And was that another part of his abilities? Something he might have not even known. So, and says most of the girls are kind of now a bit teasing Mina, saying like you were kind of like a worried girlfriend there for a moment and such. Do you have a crush on him or something? Mina blushing, like no, we're just best friends and all. I was just worried about him. Like yeah, sure. So Deku is still sleeping. Being reformed like that does take a lot of energy. And he have already taken so much damage beforehand, too. So, Aizawa comes in there and saying, alright everyone, you have the rest of the day off and another week or two off. Since over this attack. Once Midoriya wakes up, the teachers and us have some questions for him. They all are not in agreement. Mina hesitant to leave. Aizawa reassures her that he will be alright. He will not be in trouble for fighting, and we just have some questions about his quirk. So, quotation marks, I guess. Mina nods and decides to head home. They also called Inko, telling the situation that they was just in a major attack and that we need to talk to her as well. That they need to talk to her as well. Explaining the situation, Inko drove there as fast as she can. Inko burst through the recovery girl's office, seeing Izuku is fine, but just passed out. She ran up to her baby boy, tears going down her eyes, saying, "Is my baby alright? Please tell me he is." They reassure he is, but we have some questions about his quirk. For some time now, actually. She's understanding, but wants to realize that maybe it's time to tell Deku the truth about his origins. She said, "I will explain everything, but I think Izuku should hear this too." They nod and wait for a while longer. Another hour or two passes. Deku wakes up, seeing that his mother is there, and All Might and Aizawa is there too, with Nezu as well. Asking what is going on, and like, where is everyone? Else, Aizawa simply said, "Kid, we have some questions about your quirk, and about everyone else, they got the rest of the 2 weeks off. We wanted to know something about your quirk for a long time now, too." Alright, but I've already told you everything I can tell you about it. Yeah, about that. We have known that I could... You know that I can cancel out quirks, right? Yeah, but what about it? Well, I did try to use it on you a couple of times, and it never really worked. I thought at first it was just my quirk malfunctioning or something. But after I keep constantly trying again and again, it never appeared to work. Deku eyes widen in surprise and wondering, like, what is his... If it's not a quirk, then what is this? Inko, somewhat looking sad but nervous, like a worried expression, I guess, yeah. Deku asks, "Mom, what is it?" "Izuku, honey, I think it's about time I tell you the truth. I think that the teachers of UA should know too, if you will continue to be here, and especially after today." So, all of them are waiting to hear the explanation and for Inko to start. First, about your origins, really. You did not have a father. I never really married, and the only man I loved left me at a young age. So, I wanted to have a child more than anything. So, one day when I was out in the forest, I wished upon a star. But it wasn't a star. It was, well, kind of you. They are shocked to hear that he apparently was a shooting star that crash landed. When I went to investigate it, Zuko, I saw a weird thing, like a red pyramid almost. I touched it and it cut my finger a bit. Next thing when I looked, I saw it shaping his body, its looks of it. It was you that it shaped into, forming that gem that's in the center of your chest and having that weird eyes. I believe that how you have these powers as well, from my blood. You came from outer space, and you did have my DNA, so I am still technically your legal biological mother. But you do not have a father, at least a biological one, at least. You are possibly your own father, so it is a weird situation. So I had my suspicions about your powers one day, after I saw you kind of levitating items around you at a young age. I thought that maybe this was your quirk, but after realizing where you came from, this might have been from that weird pyramid thing. Deku thought, so I'm an alien? Of sorts. But I probably should have told you this sooner. Says, I still wish you can see me as your mother even after you hearing this. Of course I do. It's gonna take a lot to process this now too. I still love you, Mom. You have taken care of me since I was, born and crashed here apparently. So how can I still not love you after now? Inko is happy, but now worried that what will the teachers do after learning this information. Nezu, Aizawa, and All Might is trying to process all this as well. Nezu is the first one to say it. Is that, this is a sort of an interesting situation. So, I guess you do not have a quirk, after all. You're just from outer space. So, yeah, I guess, Principal Nezu. So, what will we do now? Aizawa speaks up. Honestly, kid, I do not know. You still want to be a hero, though, right? Of course. More than anything. Good. So, we'll just leave it to that. We'll keep your secret, of course. And as such, we will keep it on the down low about your power. We'll just simply say it is a quirk and such. Still, I don't see any reason why we need to let anyone know. If people knew that there was a boy with these types of powers came from outer space, people might go after you. So, yeah, you're right. But also, I feel slightly different too. What do you mean, kid? Like after I reformed, I guess, I felt slightly a bit more powerful. Like something else was unlocked in me. So, I don't know what it is exactly, but I think after dying once, my body adjusted to new surroundings a bit. After being beaten by that creature and the other two villains. They're curious but, okay, kid. Well, you have 2 weeks off, so what about if you come over at some point tomorrow? We can see if you got any new abilities or whatever. See if anything changed about you. Alright. Can I actually go home now in that case, too? Of course, kid. You have the rest of the day off anyways. And, of course, the 2 weeks. So just be careful and let us know if you would... We'll see you tomorrow see if anything is new about your abilities or not. Alright. I hope that UA doesn't get in trouble for this, too. I did technically die, but kid, I don't think anyone will... We won't mention that part if you says don't to. Of course not. So Deku replied. Alright, thank you, kid. So, what about you, All Might? You've been kind of quiet throughout this entire time. All Might just kind of stood there thinking like, I was wrong about the kid. I thought he was just a creation of Awful One, but he wasn't after all. And apparently he cannot die. That it seems like. All of this in his head, and he snapped back to reality for a moment. Yeah, it's just that this is a lot to take in, kid. So, we're sorry if you got suspicious, but you can understand from our point of view that your powers are incredible. We thought, it's alright, All Might. Honestly, I've been having some late questions myself as well. My power didn't seem like a quirk, but at the same time, everyone kind of had these strange powers, so I thought it was just me thinking like I'm being crazy and such. Yeah, understandable, kid. Anyways, go home and just rest up for now. Thanks, All Might. Deku and Inko left. The teachers explained the rest to the other, like Aizawa and Nezu and All Might does explain to Midnight, President Mike, and some other trustworthy teachers like 13 and I guess Snipe and Vlad King. No, not Vlad King, actually. Explain this to them. They accepted the secret and trying to keep it on the down low about his powers not being a quirk. So Deku does text Mina saying that he will be heading to UA tomorrow to test some things. And to let her know that he'll get in contact with her soon. She replied okay. And when Deku got home, he ate and just went to bed. The next day, Deku went to UA to see if he'd gotten any stronger or not. Aizawa helped him in this aspect, training him in ground gamba. Saying, alright kid, you said since ever yesterday you felt different, right? Yeah, I felt like I got some new abilities of mine. New abilities I've unlocked after I got killed like that. I think I might have new powers as well. Okay, kid, then show it. Deku kind of concentrating, thinking what did he might have gotten, looking deep inside himself. When he did, he figured out he can divide himself. Which I'll be calling double team. Yeah, so far he made a copy of himself right next to him. Aizawa's eyes widen like, so you can split yourself apart like that, huh, kid? Apparently. So, alright, let's see if it can take any damage by chance. So, Deku look at the clone. The clone knows his purpose. Deku did shoot an energy bolt at him. He did fade away, though. It did fade away. So, it's not very strong, though. It can take about a punch at most. And I can't make many yet, but it is a new ability, so. Aizawa said, well, you do have 2 weeks to train that part of your quirk. Or abilities now. Yeah. Is there anything else, kid, though? I do think I'm a bit stronger now, and my barrier is somewhat stronger. Not by much, though, but still. Well, that's good, kid. You've gotten a bit stronger after being defeated like that. I don't know if it's because of your unique heritage, or it's because or if you've just been training harder lately. Either way, kid. So, try to get better at this. So, yeah, but I do think I have some other abilities I don't know about yet. So, Alright, kid. Well, you have 2 weeks before you come back. After that, it will be the day of the sports festival, as soon as you guys come back. I told this to the other students as well, so he's nodding in agreement. For the next 2 weeks, he does train. unlocking some new unique abilities and training with his other ability he's kind of discovered. But with that, I'm going to end it there. I want you guys to help me think of some abilities for Deku to do. Should his clones be stronger than they are now, like taking a few more hits? Or should they just be kind of like Double Team, basically? Or like Ectoplasm's quirk, basically. And if you guys can think of any other moves that Deku should have with this ability, let me know down in the comments. But with that, this ends this part, and hopefully I will be making a new series. If not, I'll possibly post the next part of What If Deku Was Taskmaster. I'm at least going to get halfway in that, at least halfway in that, or start it now before, like, starting the new series. But anyways, have a good night or day wherever you're at.